Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter, and I'm joined, as always, by the fabulous and wonderful Ann Pinkava. Hi, Ann.
Hello.
This week, we are sponsored by the incomparable Chicken Lady Fiber Arts, who has awesome yarns. I mean, it's kind of funny. I'm literally surrounded by her yarn right now. I've got some of these minis that I got out of her spring bouquet last year. This is a skein of the PIK colorway on her MCN base, which is a bulky. And this is going to be our giveaway this month. So you can enter to win, or if you can't wait, you can use the code SNOW20PIK for 20% off your purchase. So you can get beautiful things like this. I love this color, but when I knit it up, I struggled, right? And so if you win this month's thing, you're not just going to get a skein of the yarn, but you're also going to get my new pattern that I've been working on. And I love how the yarn kind of striped itself. I said to my mom, "Oh, it looks like Gryffindor," because the family and I have been watching Harry Potter, and she went, "I don't know what that means." So I was very sad. But this is a brioche ear warmer. It's not quite done yet. It's gonna go around, and it's got a little twist in it. Messed up my hair, but I have to take photos of how you sew it together when you do the twist, which is why it's still just a string or a flat piece. But yeah, so you'll get a pattern for the yet unnamed ear warmer and a skein of Chicken Lady yarn this month. Comment on our video. And I guess I just took care of my knitting all in one go. That's what I had to show you guys. So that's what's up with me. I could show you this too. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I got this sweater, which is currently inside out, from a person that also goes to our co-op, and she has loved it to death, and there are holes in it. So I am mending it for her little side job, just because she goes, "Oh, you're the knitting teacher? Do you think you could help me fix this?" And I'm like, "I've never darned a sweater, but I'm sure that I can at least make it usable. You know, at least there won't be big holes. It'll be at least something.
Won't unravel anymore. Should be good.
Hopefully, in theory. But so that's what's been going on here. What's up with you?
Well, my Stardust shawl was finally released. Yay! I said before
it only took what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was in this weird Lovecraft limbo thing where I submitted the pattern and pattern said, "Yay, published." I'm like, "Okay, where is it?" And it gave me a link, and the link popped out to nowhere.
No.
So, and then as I said before, over Christmas, I was like, "Okay, so I sent them a little customer service email saying, 'Hey, pattern says it's published, it's not published.' And they said, 'That's nice, we're on Christmas break, get back to you on January 3rd. I'm like, "Oh, great." But January 3rd itself, someone emailed me back and they said, "Hey, so is this your pattern?" And it was a crocheted pattern. I'm like, "No, I maybe should have been a little more original with the name Stardust Shawl, but no, that's not my pattern." And it should say, by Ann Pinkava, and here's the link that you gave me that doesn't work. So I sent it off to him or sent off to them, and then a separate person then emailed me back saying, "Oh, so sorry about the delay, hit republish, should be out," and it is out now.
Cool. So if you've been waiting with bated breath to try Ann's Stardust shawl, nice little practice with some teeny tiny square of intarsia.
Like you're saying that there's a little intarsia bit, or it can be duplicate stitch too if you're going to be one of those people who straight up refuse to do intarsia. It's not like I give you step-by-step instructions or anything, but whatever. But yeah, there is anyways, it's a little snowdrop on it, and it's very pretty, and the shawl itself is just fun to make all through the center bit, and then there's the little starlight pattern on the top, and it's very pretty. And it's the one I knit was with Lynn's Sweet Maple yarn, which doesn't actually exist anymore, which is quite disappointing. And maybe if we pester her, she'll bring it back. But I think she's having some getting the dye.
Yeah, I think when we talked about it on Live from the Knitting Wars, she said it was an issue with like getting that specific yellowy gold color
Mhm.
um, for the dyeing. But okay, if I know Anne will absolutely kill y'all if you don't do the intarsia portion, but if you actually can successfully duplicate stitch that on, I want to know because I've tried duplicate stitch and it looks like my drunk child, like my child was drunk and did it, and it's always terrible. And there must be a secret to duplicate stitch, right? But
Maybe there is.
do you know the secret? Your face makes me think that I'm out of the loop on this one.
Secret is do the dang intarsia. No, that's how you get to look good. Sorry, I'm the
Wow.
worst with that. But okay. I give you secret, and this may or may not be the issue. I don't know because I haven't seen you do duplicate stitch. Okay, so with intarsia, and if you do intarsia, here, one second, let me pull off my sweater. Okay, so you see my lovely sweater.
Ooh, I didn't know the show was gonna go this route.
Yeah, we're really doing stuff. Okay, so this is my lovely sweater with my wolf on it and or Sirius black. So
Cool.
with him, I did intarsia where I carry the yarn still, even when I have intarsia. That traditional intarsia is one block, one color, one block, another color. I didn't do that because it would get ridiculous with the legs.
Right.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. I've
So
done I've done it that way and it is painful. And then there's always a hole I still have to fill up. So your way is better. Sorry.
So, okay, so when I do the intarsia, what I do is when I get to the end of the row and figuring out if I need to do more, like if I end on column 3 and I need to be in column 6 next row, but I will take one stitch over and I'll twist the yarn so it's pointed upwards, so it's one out, and that kind of anchors it in the fabric itself. So it could be, and I don't know, that your issue with duplicate stitch is that if there's like a row on one side and you're doing duplicate stitch on, let's say, row 2, and then you're going to do another one on the one on top of it, row 3, but there's no, like, if you're doing one stitch on top of another stitch, that if there's no, like how it connects in the fabric is getting bunched up, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I
That
mean, I prefer color work and I can do intarsia. I don't love intarsia like you love intarsia, but
necessity.
duplicate stitch is one of those things that just I don't understand the purpose of it. And maybe that's just me being a jerk, but I just like if you're gonna do color work, it just seems like a lot. It just seems to make more sense to just do the color work. But like I said, that could be me being a jerk. I don't know.
But and also for either duplicate stitch or intarsia, it's like this little tiny flower.
Yeah.
So whichever way you like to do it. I mean, it's, if it's
Well,
painful, it's only painful for a brief time. And then you can move on to the rest of the shawl.
exactly. That's the truth of it. Um, so have you
But
been knitting
I
or you just been talking to customer service?
I have actually been knitting. Let's see. I was snowed in again,
What?
which yeah. I mean, okay. Look, it's bad in South Dakota. Okay. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. And I know that it's not oh, it's bad because it's snowing. It's no, it's been a bad year. Like this isn't
Right.
my rodeo when it comes to snowfall. And I'm going, crap, it's been bad. Like even
Yeah.
today when the roads have been relatively good, it was so misty this morning. It was kind of dangerous.
I mean, I've known you for this is our third winter we're doing this, our second winter, either maybe third. Yeah. And you've never talked about stuff being closed down and snow. I mean, you've talked about it being cold and crappy and stuff, but not like to the extent
Yeah.
of this year. And then it was in the 50s this week, and I let my kids go around in sweatshirts. So
Oh,
there you go.
well, there you go. Well, ain't no problem with that.
Can't complain.
No, that's nice. But yeah, so I took a picture of it. I think I put it on Instagram, but I didn't actually bring the socks with me because I gave them away already. But I had a pair of socks, and then I had this sweater that I don't want to work on. And I had finished my socks. So I just sitting here cabling. It's like, it's not a bad pattern. It's just, I'm not interested in it right now. And I didn't have the luxury to put it to the side because I didn't have any other yarn with me. Well, I have a couple of things I don't want to interrupt, but I have, oh, that's not anything. That's just, so this is the Mount Auburn sweater, and it's a little hard to see, but it is some beautiful cables in there. So yeah, it's not as if, like I said, it's not as if it's a bad pattern or anything, because it's lovely. But
those are some really amazing cables, honestly. Those are like, I like cables, but those are the ones that you like have to really think about, and those are the hard ones.
yeah, and luckily the cable, it's alternating, but it's the same, like it's the same cable pattern. It's just two of them and they're staggered, so it's all the way around that way. So yeah, there is, I with some chart patterns you can sit there like, okay, I got the cable, I don't need to look at the chart anymore, and I'm like, nah, I still need to reference it.
Right. And like, I don't, like you said, that's the same one and it's following a pattern, so at least you can kind of get into a group with it. I hate the
Right.
ones where like the cable's doing all kinds of different things and then you can't like ever like get your bearings. It's like
Yeah.
every row I'm like, okay, where am I, what am I doing? Like that gets like stressful to me.
Right. And this one too, there is one break in the pattern where, so with a cable pattern, you basically cable every row and then you work plain every wrong row. But there is one row on the right side that you also work plain, and it's like a little treat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nice. Okay, back to it. Oh, it's gonna look great. It's gonna be awesome.
It looks great so far. I mean, you're doing a great job. Your knitting skills are superb, so that's nice.
Yeah, doesn't mean it.
Like,
it's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm kind of excited about this next sweater though.
you already have your next one planned?
Yeah. So I downloaded Devon's Benedicta sweater, which is all color work.
Oh,
except
cool.
I pre-shot myself in the foot.
How can you haven't even started it? How can that have happened?
Well, you see, because it needs 3 skeins each of 2 of your colors, and I only have 2 and 3. And I'm starting this at a disadvantage. This is not wise. I will probably end up pulling this out and it'll be in tears. And right now because I just started just barely. It's the same colors I'm wearing now. It's like they're my favorite or something. So I've started this, but I'm already going like, should I up my needle size? And then, because my gauge right now, on point, good, everything's fine. But now I'm, that's sort of playing with it in your mind that you're like, well, I could try to stretch it more.
No, what if you just used a different color?
Well,
like, I don't know the pattern. How does it go? Would it work?
I mean, I'd have to work it out. Here, let me go do that again.
How many colors does it have in it altogether? Just 2?
Just 2.
I would do the upper color. This is what I would do. Ready? I would do the upper color work. with a different color.
Okay, mix it up.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be one of those deals where you don't actually need all of it anyway. It's hard to say.
Hopefully, maybe. And I don't want to do like an ultra crop sweater or something, but
yeah, for those of you that don't know, Anne Pinkava is actually like a giant. Like when I met her in person, I had to look up at her, and I knew she was tall, but I was surprised.
yeah, I'm not a petite gal, so getting enough yarn to cover a sweater is important. But I have this very lovely Pesca knit, and I don't even know what this is called, but it's this like red brown color. And it was I got 3 skeins of this in her going out of well, not going out of business, but yarn closing sale, because it wasn't as if she wasn't making money. But yeah, I got 3 skeins of this, and then I had 2 of this, and like that would make an absolutely wonderful sweater. But again, starting out with only 5 skeins is already at disadvantage. I could, like the chicken lady, the one Holy Bible colorway, like that would work. It's brown. It's not like this is a red brown though. Like that's more of a.
But that brown has red in it.
Right.
So you could maybe, I don't know. Let me look at the pattern when we're done. I'll see if I have any advice for you.
Right. Yeah. So my plan right now, which is foolish, I'll admit, is just take a run at it and then be upset with myself later. So,
but if you plan now, you could do it like this is what I'm thinking. You do the top in the color that you have 2 skeins of, or do you need 3 skeins for that?
It says that you need 3 skeins of each, and I have 3 skeins of one and 2 of the other.
I would work it out somehow that you do the color work, because there's a huge portion of it, right? And then there's color work in the color. I would use something different for the background. And then isn't there a stripe in that pattern too?
There is. It's
kind of small though. Not that big of a deal.
Okay, I will.
Is there a bigger picture?
Yeah, there's the
you
pattern.
could totally throw a 3rd color in there, Anne, and it would be fine.
Yeah, I will have to.
Sorry, I know you can do it. And it's not like we're not good friends with many different yarn dyers that you can be like, hey, I need a color that complements this. What do you have?
Yeah, that's true. But I think I'd work from stash on this one. I'm not too worried about that. I just have to figure it out. But speaking of, also, sorry, I do have, I'm excited about stuff. Speaking of being friends with yarn dyers, Tina sent me this.
Oh.
And it's incredible.
What is it?
This is the Siamese Twin Galaxy, and I have been eyeing this on her shop for a long time, and she sent it to me as a gift, and I love it.
That's so funny. She offered me one as a gift also, and I haven't picked one out. But if you guys saw last week's episode, there was a point where I said, thanks for watching. It's been a good run, because Anne and I were like at such different ends of the spectrum when it came to our favorites from the Chicken Lady Advent that I said, we can't do this anymore.
Right.
It is okay now, because I have also been eyeing that colorway from Tina.
No, I know. And also, okay, I am such a hypocrite when it comes to saying, oh, I like these colors and I don't like those colors. Okay, it's obvious that I love the orangey browns. Okay, love them, adore them, wear them all the time. But I know this, and again, this is something that I said last week. I'm like, oh, I don't like anything, too bright or whatever. Yeah, I'm such a liar. Because, and this, she has a little sample of it knit up in her shop, and it stripes so beautifully. Anyways, so yes, I'm absolutely in love with this. I have to figure out something very special, probably something lacy or shawly. And she also sent me a stitch counter, and the most blingy measuring tape you've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Holy mackerel.
I know, you can see it from space.
That's
And
awesome.
I think because she does nail art too, I think she probably had a hand in like doing the back and everything. So it's very pretty. And I mean, it matches perfectly color
I think
wise.
I might just have to tell her I want that now. Can I have what Anne has, please?
I know. And it's a really long measuring tape too. I mean, I don't know that, the tape itself is necessarily anything special, but the one that I have only goes to a yard and sometimes you need more. So it's like, nice.
Interesting. I think that mine are generally longer than that. But you showing off your yarn purchases has, I may have purchased some yarn even though I'm not supposed to be. So I remembered I can show it to you guys. First off, I got these teeny tiny knitting needles. They're size 6, but they're 9 inches. Can you even see them? There's a package there. So they're just teeny tiny knitting needles. They go here and they go whoop, and that's it. Because I do like Magic Loop better because those Chicken Lady needles that I got, they're not really Chicken Lady. They're Knitter's Pride needles from Chicken Lady. And those had a string long enough for Magic Loop. And I finally tried it and I got the hang of it and it was pretty good. So, but I don't know if I want to do that all the time. So then I have ideas. So when Anne was talking about her sweater that she didn't want to work on, I was going to say, but I don't want to interrupt her. I have been struggling to knit anything at all. It's been really bad. And I mentioned last week, I had some sort of virus. It made me kind of car sick. So part of my trouble was like looking at knitting made me feel nauseous. But also, I just kind of am blah. I don't know if it's like the letdown from the holidays and a lot of things need to be done around the house. The tree came down, toys have to be put, just life. But so I have not been wanting to knit, but in my brain, I have all of these design ideas. And so it's this weird spot I'm in where I'm like, I really want to make these things, but I don't actually want to. And so it's kind of a weird, I should do better for being on a name podcast. It's also the same with my news watching. I should be watching the news. Do I do it? No, here we are. That's life. So this is from, I bought these in person at a local yarn store. So this is from the Fiber Co. I honestly don't know if they hate conservatives or not. I didn't look that hard because it was just really pretty and I never get to buy yarn at a yard store. And so, sorry guys, I might have not done what I should have, but these are from the Fiber Co. and they're beautiful. And this one's Willow. It's kind of a tannish color. I don't know if you can tell. And this is, it might just be called Sage because that's what it is. And this one's Blanca because, ooh, we're fancy. And then I got this giant skein and it's from Jill Draper. I don't know if she likes us either. Couldn't tell you. But this is Orchid and it's 100% lamb's wool and it's a pinkish color. And so in my brain, there were visions of all of them being together. And then there were visions of them not being together and some of them being together. But I gotta say, you showed off your Siamese Galaxy thing there and it's all crazy colors. And now here I come in with my like, hey, drab.
You're like,
So
and
maybe,
this is a muted spring palette. And I'm like, ha.
It's just so backwards for us usually, which is hilarious. But yeah, so that's what's happening here. But I don't know if I'm the only one that's got the blahs for knitting. Seems like Anne's got it on her project, but that could just be the cable project making your brain swell.
Yeah.
It's totally possible. That's my professional opinion. You
are a doctor. Listen to her.
I am not a doctor. Please don't listen to anything I say. That's all we need is people being like, well, Deplorable Knitter told me. Deplorable Knitter doesn't know anything. Got
too much cables make your brain swell. Everyone knows this.
My personal opinion is that too much of anything can make your brain swell. Too much concentrating hard. So that's all. Like I said, not professional. So what else? Should we talk a little bit of news?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there have been a couple of big news stories going through. I mean, first off, we have not that I want to dwell there. The House speakership, I think, is hilarious.
I don't think it's hilarious. I think it's awful. We have a bunch of grown-ass people who can't agree enough to, and see, I am against the liberals being in lockstep. But then again, this is an example of us being too principled, not too principled, too can't compromise for the greater good. I don't know, something. So what do you think? No?
Well, okay. I think McCarthy's a weasel, frankly. And I think part of it is too that so the Democrat Party is in lockstep, and the Rhino portion of the Republican Party is in lockstep. And part of like having this fight out, I think, I mean, to a certain extent, it's like, oh, why are we fighting amongst ourselves and everything? But on the other, it's Kevin McCarthy, just like Hillary Clinton, just like all of these career politician types, has basically said, well, it's my turn to be speaker, so I will. And people are like, no, it isn't.
Yeah, I get it. But I think like Lauren Boebert's been kind of leading the charge against him being speaker, and there's like 20 of them with her, and that's kind of like 20 out of 200, and that's, yeah, you know what I mean. And he also did say, if I don't do what I promise, you can vote me out with 5 people. So it's kind of like, is this the hill to die on, or should we get back to running government? I don't know.
Yeah, but running government to what? To give more money to the Ukraine. So
right, but I get it.
Yeah, and also it's, I mean, again, hearing from a couple other people and talking it out, it's like, okay, so this guy also, there's this contention. He's had what I think at time of recording 10 different failed votes on his speakership. No, and he won't move either. And it's always the one side that has to compromise, not the other.
Right.
And if all of these people are having this contention about him being speaker now, and he's not effective now, I don't think there's much hope of him being effective in the future.
No, that's a good point. And maybe the answer is that both of them take a step back and let somebody else come up and say, hey, what's up? I mean, that would make sense. Yeah, and then there's other things like I don't know how I feel about stuff, but like Sean Hannity, I saw that my husband was flipping the stations the other night, and I saw Lauren Boebert on Sean Hannity, and she was trying to talk about stuff, and he was like, you're not answering my questions, blah blah blah. And then he was kind of like talking shit about her when the next guest came on. And so then I'm going, maybe she is right, because I usually like Hannity, but I don't know, time anybody on TV is like talking shit about someone, I'm like, well, I guess I must look into them more, because there's a reason they don't like them. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to this.
It's a pity that Sean has been kind of going squishy after so many years being, fairly solid. His with all the issues that we've had with our federal agencies, and that's coming up in the whole Twitter files thing, that he's still like, oh, well, got to support our members of the FBI, instead of first saying, okay, sorry, we need either serious revision or to abolish it and start again. Because this is, in the current system, it is not working to the benefit of the American people. And he will still wear a little, pin in support of them and stuff. And yeah. And Dan Crenshaw coming out and saying that, the people who oppose Kevin McCarthy's speakership are akin to terrorists or something. I'm like, well, oh, you big butch buddy boy. Like, you just throw that around with her.
When he came out a couple of years ago, I liked him. I thought he was going to be good. but he's proven just as soft as the rest of them. What is it about politics? What once they get in there, they see how cushy it can be, and that, you know, they kind of get some notoriety, and you know, they're making some money,
And all their
they're like,
friends, yes, and
right. I don't know, man.
it's a pity.
Anyway, so yeah,
Anyway,
the speaker thing, but the reason I say I don't find it that funny is because of the liberals I follow on Instagram. They just think it's the best thing that's ever happened, and what a joke, and you know, we can't even get this together. How are we going to be in charge? And then doesn't AOC want to do some sort of caucus instead because we can't make a decision?
oh, I don't know what she wants.
I mean, I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm just saying that she was talking about, you know, everybody can be in charge instead.
Yeah, well, don't trust AOC with anything, and any party that has Biden as their president shouldn't be throwing stones about having your crap together. So
True. No, yeah, I get it, but it's one of those things, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Even though Biden's totally senile, they all still lockstep support him for the most part. So I've heard
maybe.
rumblings that he shouldn't run, but they're not like out and out being like, hey, you suck, and poor old dude has dementia, so you know, whatever.
I'll drag him over the finish line.
Oh yeah.
But or at least make a valiant attempt to. But I don't know, part of, oh, it's like, so this past week I haven't been catching up with it at all, but that Neil, he and Amy of Two Sisters in Some Yarn, that they've been doing review of all the previous Blocked magazines over the past year, sort of a year-end review sort of a thing. And he's been doing it with several different people, but I only got to catch the first one. And they make a joke about the British Prime Minister, and they're like, wait, who is it? Yeah, oh yeah, Rishi Sunak. And that's kind of what, okay, so Biden is so terrible, you have to remember him. But it's sort of like the reward of the peasants of having elected the leader that the ruling class wants is you don't have to hear about him anymore. That it's like you can just live your life and forget about what the government is doing, even though what the government is doing affects every portion of your life and in a detrimental way. But it's the sort of like, oh, well, yes, Biden does this occasional thing where he accuses half of the country of being extremists, and he expands government, and the IRS is threatening to shut you down over, you know, your Venmo transactions and everything else. But, you know, at least the media sort of chills on what's going on with the president on a day-to-day basis. So
As of now, which is Friday afternoon, the speaker is still not decided. It is still a shit show. So stay tuned. What else did you want to tell us?
I just
about
over here
today?
like, okay, that somebody made a joke saying that Matt Gaetz put forward Trump should be Speaker of the House. I'm like, Trump as Speaker of the House on January 6th would be the funniest thing. Like, you know, that's beyond press running out of ink. That is like, you know, just fury of explosion of what would happen.
Yeah, the
It's
irony
silly, but it makes me laugh. That or Buffalo Head guy, because frankly, it can't get worse. So,
well, it could.
I mean,
Perhaps.
it could, but
Okay.
anyway. So, with all of that in the government agencies, so I've been keeping up with the Twitter files thing, which has been quite interesting. Because just to like give kind of an overview, and it is Matt Taibbi is the guy who's been doing the Twitter files thing and sort of releasing information of what's been happening with, you know, basically government colluding with Twitter. And some of the things that he's been saying about that has been, it's like, okay. So yeah, Twitter's been doing the bit, what's his face? Okay, so Yoel Roth, who was the guy who the the government agencies were coming to in meetings every week, multiple government agencies, and also the guy who was a-okay with there being less than savory videos involving children on the platform of Twitter. So this guy has been all these connection with government agencies, and he basically got to a point where all of the government agencies were saying, hey, why aren't you shutting down all these Russian accounts? We keep telling you there's Russian accounts. And he's like, in good faith, man, we could only find like a little over 20. And they're like, no, we keep saying there's Russian accounts. You have to do something about this. So they created a task force. So basically what ended up happening is, you may remember that there was all of these Senate committee meetings and other things about social media and its effect. And basically and this is FBI, DHS, CIA, even the US Intel Committee, that they had all of these groups that were pestering Twitter. And if any of these agencies wanted Twitter to do something, what they would do is they would leak things to the media and say, Twitter is letting all of these Russian accounts on their platform. They're being horrible people. And they'd use other things like, I think there was a documentary called The Social Dilemma, and that wasn't specifically mentioned in the Twitter files, but things like that, where they're like, oh, big tech has all this power. Now, I know, and you know, and everybody knows that big tech has a lot of power to influence, and it's not good for us. But the end result is not, hey, this is bad, but Twitter and other things and other social media companies are allowing the rise of evil things like Trump supporters and Brexit. And we should shut this down by more regulation. And on the backside of Twitter, we see that on the outside and we're like, oh yeah, social media companies have issues, even though it's bogus about what they're saying with Brexit. But, sure, that you can have grassroots movements that move through the internet. But on the backside of Twitter, that is the government and other organizations pressuring Twitter for more control. That after all of this happening, here, I wrote out a quote. So this cycle threatened legislation wedded to scare headlines pushed by congressional/intel sources, followed by Twitter caving to moderation asks, would later be formalized in partnerships with federal law enforcement. And there's part of that where so like the FBI and CIA and stuff would bring accounts to Twitter and say, these guys are spreading disinformation, shut them down. And it was a continued cycle of they'd send emails, they'd send Excel spreadsheets full of accounts to be shut down. And that you'd have specific people, again, on the US Intel Committee that would say, that guy has to be off Twitter. This guy, that it was people who were actually, they were taking down accounts that said things against them personally. And it says that Twitter was paid $3.14 million for what they did in connection with the government. But according to Matt Taibbi, he's like, they were underpaid because at a point they were overwhelmed. They were getting so many things that government agencies were asking them to do. So it wasn't that they were paid, it's that what they were doing would be worth more than that if they were just a government subcontractor. And that it was that you have these internal Twitter emails while all of this was going on, which was kind of like, yeah, we're kind of doing this at free will, but not really. Like the window is closing on our ability to say no, to turn around to the government and be like, yeah, we're not going to shut down accounts anymore. So that's the sort of, again, taxpayer funded government agency lien that they have on this company who is worried about, their reputation and profitability, and they don't want to be the bad guys letting, quote, Russian misinformation seep into the public square. So
It's it's just so messed up, and nobody is talking about it. Like, people are just kind of like, oh yeah, the Twitter files that happened, but that's old news. So like, has anybody said anything about like these government agencies? Like, why were they shutting down these things? Or
They were shutting down accounts. And also, like I said, that there was, okay, so you are Twitter employee and you're sitting there and it's your job to do content moderation. And you just got lists and lists and lists of people that they're like, these are bad actors. And if you're like, oh, wow, I got to check all of these people. And I'm not so sure, that I'm not sure that, these people are who you say they are. And if it wasn't done quickly enough, they'd be like, hey, was action taken? Was action taken? That you get follow-up emails from the government if you didn't delete accounts quickly enough.
it's but why isn't anybody saying something now? That's my question. Like, shouldn't people be disgusted and upset and, with your torches and your pitchforks out there going, why were you suppressing these people?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not that Twitter itself didn't have a left-leaning agenda, or that they didn't revel in the power they had. But the fact that it was the government itself leaning on them is rather big
And
news.
who in the government was doing this? Because I mean, Trump was in office, so
Right.
it was people acting behind our president's back. Like, isn't that disconcerting?
Right. That they would, that the government was working against the head of government. Though it was interesting that was a new DHS agency called the Global Engagement Center, which old Yoel Roth, he in the very liberal man who is okay with, like I said, unsavory videos involving children being on Twitter. That guy seems to think that the FBI and the CIA were more even keeled, but that this was more of a partisan group coming in. So that was interesting, to say the least.
I when the Twitter files started coming out, I was really following it, but then the lack of response from anybody kind of turned me off to it, because it's kind of like, well, it's confirming all the stuff we knew. Go back to that meme. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? 3 to 6 months. So we all knew what was going on, and now they're saying it was going on, and still nobody is reacting, nobody is doing anything. And so it's kind of hard to be like interested in it, because it doesn't matter.
Right. It is weird. Yeah.
So I just wonder, I mean, it's all really interesting and awful, and what are they going to do? They're going to do the same nothing that they've been doing, probably,
I don't know. And yeah, and like I said, it's interesting that, okay, so so let's say Ted Cruz or whoever goes out and he does some really great soundbite on, what is government doing about social media suppressing voices from one side of the aisle. And yet I think it's section 240 that they get their protections from. That's
right.
the one that deems social media company to be they're not liable for what is published on their website. It's like a phone company isn't liable for what somebody says to somebody else over the phone.
For what Anna and I talk about on the phone.
Right. Which could be anything.
All kinds of things. So right, I get that.
Right.
But once they start suppressing people, it seems like they should be responsible.
Right. But it's not just that they are suppressing people, but it's that the pressure against social media companies for doing bad things is also being turned around and also used for more suppression.
Right. I don't know, man. That's my answer. Most of the time Ian tells me stuff and I just say, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's awful. What are we gonna do? It's yeah. Great.
Cool, yeah.
So back to the cable knit sweaters, because what the heck are we gonna do? I suppose that we should start pressuring our people in charge to, do something about it.
Right.
I guess that would be the next step, wouldn't it? To write some letters and find out why people aren't being held accountable.
Right.
Wouldn't that be the next step?
Right. That, yeah, we have all of these lovely 3-letter agencies and they're serving what interest?
They're obviously not working for us. So what's their purpose? Or for our safety or for our betterment. They're working for themselves. So yeah, that's interesting. But there's always knitting. And hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I just decided right this second. Since I'm having trouble deciding what to knit and what to do, I think I'm going to make a hat for Hats for Sailors. I'm just gonna knit something because there are people out there that need our love and support, and something I can do right now.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go do that. And if you want to knit for Hats for Sailors, there's a lot of information out there. You can email me. They do a collection in May and November, I think. So, there's one coming up. And if you want to enter to win skein of PIK, super fancy MCN. But if you want to win some beautiful yarn from Chicken Lady, not use the code. You can comment on this episode. And when you get this, you'll also get the pattern for my ear warmer that I'll have done next week to show you guys. It's a easy brioche knit ear warmer. So if you've been scared of trying brioche, it's like super easy. And you can comment to be entered for that on this video. And also you can use the code SNOW20PIK for 20% off of your Chicken Lady order. So yeah, go do something useful. If you're not inspired for yourself, maybe you can find a project that would be fun for someone else. Just what I'm gonna go figure out.
Yep. And there's always baby knits, Amy of Two Sisters and Yarn that she works with, Let Them Live. And that's, I guess, not just baby knits, also things, for the mothers that she helps with that charity. And there's knitting opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, there are. And
including my shawl.
Yes, and shawl, but I think that's what I'm going to try to do this year. Everybody was talking about knitting resolutions. I think when I feel uninspired, I'm going to go make something for someone else. Mm-hmm. And maybe that'll help my mojo. So yeah, if you're having the New Year's blues a little bit like I am, the news is getting you down, let's make some projects for other people.
Yep.
Spread some love. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble.
Definitely on Rumble, because again, social media news, YouTube is updating their terms of service, and that's never good.
Oh, yeah. So make sure you're following us everywhere.
Sign up for your newsletter, which has our video.
Yeah, sign up for my newsletter, and also I'm going to get that website up. It's coming soon, so soon. And we'll have news there too. So, yep. New website for Politically Incorrect Knitters is coming. Patreon for Deplorable Knitter is coming. Make sure you're on my newsletter.
Knitting Wars on Tuesday.
Knitting Wars on Tuesday. We were supposed to do it this last week, I think, but we missed it.
No, we weren't.
For real?
No.
Okay.
We
did it after Christmas?
No, on Christmas week, because Christmas week was late.
Right. And then there was New Year's.
Which there's because it's an every other week system.
Right. But here was Knitting Wars, and then Christmas, and then a Tuesday, which we didn't do, and then New Year's, And
Yeah.
then this past Tuesday, we should have done it.
I don't think so, but okay.
I'm right on this one, which is part of why I thought you were mad when I hadn't heard from you yesterday, because we didn't do
Oh.
knitting wars and we didn't
Oh.
tape. So anyway, new schedule for
Let's
knitting
run
wars.
together,
It's gonna start tomorrow.
for more
Not
of
tomorrow.
this.
It's gonna start this next week. So, all right,
Alrighty.
you guys have a great weekend. We will see you soon.
All right. See you then,
Bye.
guys. Bye.